Hello, everybody. Hey, we're trying a different sound. We're trying a different sound configuration. Let me know what you're going to think about the new sound configuration. I think it might be better. Might be a little more precisely.
Because in all forms of strategy, it is necessary to maintain the combat stance in everyday life. And to make your everyday stance your combat stance. You must research this well. I wrote that down on a piece of paper, but this guy wrote it down first on a piece of paper. His name is Miyamoto Musashi. He probably wrote it in Japanese kanji characters because I don't think he spoke English. Probably a challenge for him to write what I just said. He probably said something like, or something in that ballpark. My Japanese is, a little rusty, but I'm pretty good. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. No disrespect to any Japanese people out there who might be feeling culturally appropriated at the moment. Don't worry, I ain't appropriating shit. In all forms of strategy, it is necessary to maintain the combat stance in everyday life and to make your everyday stance your combat stance. What is he talking about? He's talking about center. He's talking about hara. He's talking about maintaining your chiflu. Got to maintain my chiflu, Sifu. You want to use, the 3 fingers below the belly button kind of technique and maintain your center of gravity, your center of focus. You don't want to lose your center. You don't want to lose your balance. People look for the calm in the storm. So if you can make yourself the calm in the storm, people will look for you. If you don't want to be looked for and you want people to just ignore you, run and panic. Make loud noises, incoherent sounds. What you want to do is just exude chaos and people won't bother you. But if you do want people to bother with you, if you do want people to look for you in times of trouble, maintain your center. Daily practices, mindfulness, and mindset. That all kind of ties into this, the whole brainwashing thing that I've been down the rabbit hole, the little hueco de conejo. It's maybe at least been a couple of weeks since I was talking about Chase Hughes and brainwashing yourself. Meaning wave, because happiness is a side effect of meaning. Brainwashing by the fear tactic, which is focus, emotion, agitation, and repetition. You use focus to focus on the daily task. Your emotion in that case would be like fear of missing out, or what would happen if you don't continue to manifest this action, or a positive emotional trigger would be your positive results that you've been getting, which tells you a little bit of something about manifestation and visualization. You can read into that what you like. Agitation, so being comfortable with discomfort. The consistent, disciplined behavior. Every day you don't feel like getting up out of bed and doing the thing. The battle stance, the combat stance. Making your everyday stance your combat stance. Every day you get up, you meditate, you do your ice bath, you do your breathing, you do your exercise, and then you face your day. If you miss one of those, if you don't hit the goals and metrics that you're aiming for to find the point of excellence in yourself and really honor God by manifesting the greatness that you were destined for, I think in a sense, as long as you're trying, you're winning. So you kind of can't help that as long as you're trying. But once you can make that combat stance, right, doing all of those things, all that task list, and it becomes natural, every day you just do it. Maybe you even feel agitated when you don't. At that moment, your combat stance is your everyday stance. So maybe that sheds some light on Miyamoto Musashi's little words of mystery over here. That's what I read into it. Once you're stable and your everyday stance is your combat stance and your combat stance is your everyday stance, now you can be adaptable. And I think this is a really important thing, because when you want to adapt to chaotic situations, when you want to adapt to things that are out of the ordinary that might happen, that you just want to be ready for them and want to be able to react to them in a proactive way. And you want to be the center of the storm so that you can actually help other people, because you're a good person and you want to help other people. So in order to be adaptable in those situations, if you're not centered, you're going to fall down. You're going to get thrown off your center. You're going to be thrown off balance, and you're going to lose your 30,000 foot view. You're not going to have a measured reaction. You're going to be reactive instead of proactive, most likely. So in Musashi's Book of Five Rings here, in his chapter on the strategy of attack-no-attack, he says, you cannot take a certain attitude and depend on it entirely. There are too many variations in attacks from the enemy. What you may think is effective may in fact be ineffective because of the way in which the enemy is feeling at that particular moment. Your attitude must be such that you can shift into any other mode of combat without having to make a conscious decision. You must be flexible, and you must have no particular liking for any particular set of techniques. Think this through very carefully. This is the basis of the warrior's way. So what's the point of all that? Like, how are you going to apply that to your everyday life? This guy's just sitting here rambling on and on about incessant garbage out of some weird Japanese old man's diary. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my day today and what I noticed about two different mindsets. And I really didn't even intend it this way. I was just really just trying to be friendly and help everybody out. But somebody's business was broken into today or last night. Your place of business, which is maybe even closer to your heart than your home for some people, because you really put all of your life force energy into building that place. And so when your business becomes attacked, it's a personal violation, and it's very hard not to take it personally and to approach that situation with a balanced mindset, or to be in your combat stance, so to speak. So when I got there, there were two restaurants in the same strip center that were it. So the first place that I went, the owner was fluid and looked for some positive things to say about the situation, even if it was just, it could be worse, at least we're safe. They could have found more and taken more things out of here. They didn't get these bottles. These were on the top shelf. This one's still here. All of those were, I think, naturally things that he noticed and picked out that reflected a positive state of mind or a proactive perspective on the situation, which is a really powerful key. I think that is your hara point. That is, if you can maintain that, if that becomes natural, then you're in your combat stance and you're never going to lose that way. You're always going to win that way. Because no matter what happens, you're not focused on the negative and you're not focused on the bad thing that's happening. Now, the other person was not necessarily distraught or making any sort of outward emotional outbursts or anything like that, but they did have a defeated mindset and said that we had all of these good things lined up, but then I got this call in the morning and everything just went like this. They made this motion. Everything just went like this. The whole day was just like this. It's just hard. And I offered some, what would you call those, cliches or whatever, to sort of assuage some of that burn, some of that sting. One of my favorites that a mentor of mine told me a long time ago was that the reason why challenges exist is so that we can rise ourselves up to meet that challenge. If the challenge didn't exist, we don't have any reason to rise ourselves up, to be able to elevate ourselves to a higher level of our nature or a higher level of our potential. So the challenge exists so we can rise to meet it. And that axiom was met with, I guess, man, but it's just so hard. So another one was that when you're going really fast, that the faster you go, the more wind resistance you come up against. So sometimes when you have something good coming up in the future, it means that there's negative events pushing back on you because you're about to go to a next level leap forward. And so, but that also got the same kind of response. That got a little bit more of that's a really interesting perspective. I like that. I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I think life is just hard. These things just happen. I feel defeated. I could tell the first guy it's not like he's enjoying the situation. He's skipping through a field of daisies. Hey, my restaurant got broken into. Look at me. Woohoo. That would be a pretty big red flag. But it was about the perspective, and it was about the combat stance, or the natural stance of being able to pivot in those type of situations and circumstances to be able to maintain a positive perspective and point of view. I have a lot of respect for that capability. And respect or no, that's just a objective signal that that person is most likely destined for a higher level of success, whereas the other person is manifesting the negative. One person's manifesting the positive and finding the positive and just beaming that shit out into reality with their beams and stuff. And the other person's doing the same thing with the other side. So you get what I'm saying. And then right here, I may not have a perfect record in my accountability chart, but the habits are forming. And so this kind of goes back to that. I'm obviously not all the way there yet, but I do understand the importance of being there. And what I'm trying to do is find a route to get there. It doesn't necessarily have to be the fastest route to get there. What it does have to be is the most sustaining route to get there. It has to be the most stickiest route to get there. That's going to really stick all the beans to the side of the can so that they just won't come out no matter how hard you shake that motherfucker. They're just stuck all to the inside of the can. The can being the good life and the beans being my good habits, I guess. I don't fucking know. So the analogy I made here was when ice freezes too fast, it will trap air, it will expand, and it will explode its container. So like if I have this water bottle, and I know this because I'm freezing a gallon of water at least 3-4 times a week, then I'll pull it out of the freezer. It's all puffed up. The water bottles, you guys have done this before, I'm sure, right? The water bottle gets all puffed up. And sometimes if you've ever left a glass beer bottle in a or even an aluminum can or something in the freezer and it'll just break, it doesn't have to be a carbonated beverage though. This is the thing. It'll actually just break the container but what's going on there is that it's freezing really fast. So if you do the same thing with hot water and you put the hot water in an insulated container inside of the freezer, and it takes that hot water a full 24 hours to freeze. And someone correct me on the science down in the comments or something, but there's a timing behind it. Bartenders really should know this information because a lot of them make their own ice these days. So if you're going to make really nice crystal clear ice, that's like right here, when ice freezes slowly, even sometimes being removed from the freezer during the freezing process, the blocks will be perfectly uniform and able to serve any purpose beautifully, right? The system that I'm looking for is not necessarily the fastest route to get my combat stance to be my everyday stance. What I'm looking for is the stance that's going to make the clearest ice. I don't know if all of that makes sense to anyone else. It makes sense to me. Hopefully it can make sense to other people because I think it's useful. But that's my message for today. If you want to know what my accountability chart says, fuck you. It's over here. It's over there. I don't really want to go get it. I'm not super proud of what it says, but I'm not totally ashamed of what it says either. I'm going to go totally off camera for a second. Don't mind me. No fucking mama's way. I don't think these headphones are going to work with this shit. I'm about to do one of these kind of things. That's all right. It works for me. I'm about to send this to my boy Ali Aboud down there in Lima, Peru, and see if he can tell me which side this tassel is supposed to go on. Ladies and gentlemen, JDs and Lerms. I woke up at 9 a.m. today. That was luxurious. Yesterday I woke up at 8. I did 3 minutes of cold diving to the cold. Today I didn't do any cold. I didn't do any meditation. I didn't do any breath. I say I'm going to do some breath when I go up and go to bed. It's already 10 o'clock, so let's see. I didn't do any reading. I did sell a couple of things on eBay. That was my first time I sold some stuff on eBay. So congratulations and a big round of applause to me. Sorry, thank you. Please be seated. Stay calm, ladies and germs. Oh my goodness. That's too much fun. No workout, no breath work, no meditation. I've been maintaining my diet pretty well. I eat between 12 to 8. That's still an 8-hour, what's that, a 16? So like I said, I'm not in a perfect situation yet. My combat stance is not yet my everyday stance, but I'm working on it. And when you look like this, what do you need a combat stance for? Look at this. This is a little slice of heaven right here in front of you motherfuckers. Come on now. How are you going to take a guy like this seriously? The fuck out of town. Don't hold your breath, motherfuckers.